What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. How we doing? How we doing? So if you guys have been following along, you guys would have seen that we threw some 16-inch ape hangers on this bad boy right here. And let me just say, for me, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect for everybody, but for me, oh, look at that. Look at that. See if I can't throw that in from the 360 video. That's pretty cool. But you know, for me, these 16s have been perfect. They've been exactly what I've wanted for this build. Like, I'm really kicking back. I'm actually, like, enjoying cruising and everything. Which, for me, I'm not gonna lie, the 12s were almost there. And I don't know if it was one of those, like, maybe if I was a little bit smaller, I don't know if it's, you know, the belly-wise or not. If I was a little bit smaller, they would have been perfect. But no, these 16 are where it's at for me. But that being said, you know, there wasn't much that had to be done to go from the stock bars to the 12s. I think it was just mostly the brake line had to be rerouted or something. No. Clutch, throttle cables, that's what it was. The throttle cables had to be rerouted. That was it. I'd say the clutch maybe too. I don't fully remember. It might have been, but I think it was just the throttle cables. Might have been the clutch too, but I don't remember. But that was kind of all I had to do for the 12s. Now the 16s, I had to reroute all of the wiring, along with rerouting all the wiring. I did have to replace and get a longer clutch and brake line. For the bike. Now, the thing I will say is that I did have to make my own. I had to get a longer brake line in general, but even it was like an inch and a half too long, so I had to snip it down and I got it working. And I mean, obviously, I'm riding the bike right now. But there wasn't anything out there that was exact to length. I had to do, it was either going to be too long or too short. And I'd rather too long and slowly play with trimming it away. Even if I had to sit there trimming away millimeters. Like, nope, that's not it. Stand this way a little bit. Yeah, you know. But other than that, it was a pretty easy switch. So I thought I wasn't going to have to remove the dash. However, it did have to get pulled up because the bars do kind of just ever so slightly get in the way of the screws to remove the actual speedometer, tachometer dash of the bike. But after I got my little makeshift dash out of the way, it was easy. It was literally just 6 bolts, 2 for the main little dash, then you gotta kind of like wiggle it out of the way, and then you had 4 for the actual clamps. Now, fun fact about the Vulcan S handlebars that was kind of got annoying at first when I was trying to figure out about handlebars. Basically what it is the way that the clamp and the controls are designed. Technically, the stock bars are a 1-inch clamp with 7/8 inch controls. So very similar to the Indian Scout. Problem is, those Indian Scout handlebars were really pricey, and I was like, I don't really want that. So what I ended up doing was getting these 7/8 inch all the way through bars both times. Both times they've both been just 7/8 inch. But I got some shims to put in the main clamp to go from 7/8 to 1 inch. Actually, I ended up doing enough to actually, if I needed to, I could have done it all the way up to 1.5 inches. But, that's all I really had to do was just put the shims in there and then tighten it down slowly. Crisscross pattern, you know, not making sure not to over tighten one area more than another. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Honestly, if I had known what all I needed beforehand, I would have been able to do it during the live stream. And probably finish during the live stream, but my phone about died during the live stream, so I had to cut it. That's why I had to cut the live stream. Forgot to bring out some kind of charging station or something, but I won't make that mistake twice. But you know, it was one of those. I think that I mostly got it put together on the live stream, and it was like just like kind of controls and stuff that I was having to work with. I have to double check and actually look back at the video because I've smoked weed since then. But no, I do remember in the live I did get pretty far into setting it up and everything. I think I got all the way to setting up the controls. That's when I had to call it. But you know, like I said, I got done. They're all working. They all are running, and they all ow. I hate it when things fly into the helmet and hit you. Put the visor down. Because, ow, that hurt. But, it's definitely a pretty easy install. Pretty easy setup. Like I said, barely anything had to get switched around and such like that. And then, like I said, the only thing that had to get replaced was the brake line for the front brake. And then I don't have ABS, so I didn't have to worry about dealing with, where it joined with the other system. No. It was just, just for the front brake line. And then the clutch line. Oh god, now my nose itches. But yes, next step will be the seat. And the one we are looking at is the Mustang Squareback. And I will be looking at doing the rider and passenger full combo. Even though, oh man, that price. Gonna be about $800. I think it's actually like 7 something. But with shipping, everything, yeah, it's gonna be like 800 bucks. But, so it's gonna be a minute before that happens. Honestly, we have a better chance of the front suspension getting tackled over the seat. I technically stopped, and there we go. But we definitely do hope that the seat gets done soon, or can be done soon. Because, yeah, no, the stitching is ripping pretty bad because I abuse my bike. Rightfully so. Because when I say I abuse my bike, it means I ride it every day. I don't really throw a cover on it. I don't cover it at all because you never know when I want to go for a ride. I don't care if it's pouring outside. I'm going to be smarter than I did when I did the 12s, and make sure it's like I actually wait for that little bit of time so that the oil can kind of get washed off the road and stuff, and the drivers can kind of been driving on it so that way there's some clear paths for me to be able to get better traction. While also checking tire pressures, and maintaining brake pads, because being honest with how much I do a lot of trail braking, I probably need to check on my rear pads again soon. Oh well. It's too late anyways. But I appreciate you guys for coming out, checking out the videos, tagging along for a little bit of a ride, and listening to me talking about my project. Till next time. Well, you know what? We don't cut it off just there. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Alright. I'm pulling in home, so, thank you guys for tagging along, and, until next time, stay safe out there.